Rosemary, nice and finely chopped. Usually everyone thinks rosemary lamb. Tell you what, rosemary and beef and garlic. Ah, it's amazing. Really, really good. Okay. I did vegetarian cookery yesterday, so we're going big. We're going meat today. Yeah, both ends of the spectrum, I think. All things for all people. Right, straight on with the rosemary. And then we just start to work it in. And when you get a steak like this, you get like little, where the mussels go in, you can get flavour into that. Yeah? Loads and loads of flavour. That's what it's all about. Choose it. We have a cookery school up in the Lake District. And what we try to do is we try to teach people about ingredients and technique and blend the two together, and that's cooking.
Yeah,
it's easy, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if me and John can do it, that's why we're doing it.
That's why
it's easy. Yeah, it's easy. So we're going to get the temperature of this pan right up, and then we're going to whack it in the oven. Okay. Right.
And how
tidying up. John, have you noticed that?
Yeah, I noticed. Actually, it's unusual for you. I must admit, you're working really tidy.
It's the myth that men can't multitask. Sorry.
How so we've got a lovely piece of meat like that. How long are you thinking of cooking it either side of the pan?
It should take about half an hour.
Half an hour, excellent.
Usually the way that you learn about meat. See, like what you'll find is a lot of chefs are either a bit thick or dyslexic or not quite all there, are they? And one of them is usually there. Coming up, yeah. See, you know. If you relied on chefs to get the world going round, it'd be over. And we rely on senses and smell and taste and touch so much. And the way that I check if the steak is cooked is I put my thumb and my finger together, and that piece there is what rare meat feels like. So when it's cooking, I'll be pressing it and then doing this, and that is what it feels like. So no pressure, you just put them together. So that's what rare meat feels like. And then the next thumb and finger. Sorry, the next finger and the only thumb. I told you, I can cook. That's where it starts and ends. Is what medium meat feels like, yeah? Mm-hmm. Now put them together.
Mm-hmm. All right, go on. Yeah.
Fish, see, fish. Really fish.
You don't have this problem with fish.
It basically went to college, you got to F in the alphabet and stopped. The good chefs go all the way through. It's a bit like bakers, they only do B and C. That's it. Maybe do donuts if they're lucky. Okay, so we flip that over. Yeah, look at that, lovely. Right, do you want to just lift those out, chuck them straight in the oven? And the reason why I want them straight on the bars is so I can get heat all the way through. If you just put them on a tray, they'll stay soft underneath and they'll steam. If you put them straight in there, you get dry heat underneath and it'll start to crisp up. So yeah, well, meat rare, medium, well done, okay? And that's how you check if meat's cooked. No pressure, you just do it like that, that, and that. And that's what you get used to, and that's why chefs do, you know, we're basically lazy. If we can find a way of doing anything without getting something out of the cupboard, we will.
You're not supposed to tell them that, because this is all supposed to be technical stuff.
There you go, look at that, straight in. Oh, you gotta love that sound, don't you? You love that. Oh, it's amazing. Right, okay, so while that is cooking, we've got some tongs. Yeah, we haven't, we? Awesome. Right. This cameraman's dying behind that camera. Can you imagine the smells he's sat next to? We fed him yesterday. Yeah, you can. So we're going to knock the heat down. So that's sat at 9, top temperature for 10 minutes. 10 minutes? 10 minutes. While we get ready to cook. So it's really important that you get your pans really hot and ready to cook. There's nothing worse than putting a steak in a cold pan. It just starts to bubble and...
You want to seal everything in. You want to seal all that flavour in there.
Okay, so we're going to turn this. There we go.
That's looking cracking already, isn't it?
It's looking good. I'm alright, I'm happy with that. Right, so we're going to make a really beautiful salad to go with it. Because if we're going to have that much meat, we're going to have some goodness to go with it. Because I'm 41 now, and that's the way my life is. Remember 41, John?
It's a long time ago, mate.
I know.
A long time ago. He rubs it in
I know.
like anything, because I reached 40 before he did.
Yeah. And you reached 50 before I did?
And I'm slightly closer to 50 than I think.
My theory is, hang around with people who are older than you, so you're the youngest in the room. Okay, garlic, nice and finely shredded. and chopped, okay? And we're actually going to add a bit of salt on there, and we're going to crush it down to a paste. Because in the dressing, what we don't want is chunks of garlic. What we want is a really smooth garlic that will kind of flavour the whole dressing. So we use a bit of salt in the back of the knife, and we just work it down to a paste. And then scoop it off the chopping board, and then straight into the bowl there.
Yeah, did you see how easy that Peter did that? How many of us have got those garlic crusher jobbies in the drawers at home?
Worse than that, who buys garlic puree? Trevor! You should be ashamed of yourself.
I think there's one or two more hands that didn't go up there as well. I'm quite sure if we raided everybody's fridges, they've all
he's
got
daft enough to admit it, I know. Right, I've got this awesome product here, right? Don't worry, I don't own the company, I'm not interested. Wormersley, they make the most incredible vinegars, don't they? And this is raspberry and Apache chili. So it's like it's got the beautiful fruitiness to it, but it's got that little cheeky kind of kick that goes with it. And it is lovely. So we're going to go in with a couple of tablespoons of that. Okay, and then 1/3 vinegar, and then 2/3 oil. Just like slowly pour over this. Okay, right. We'll just whisk that together a little bit, get the flavours going. I've got some Dijon mustard in there as well. Okay. And then I've got a little bit of honey just to kind of bridge the gap between the acidity and the oil. Every time.
I told you I'd get my own back.
Every time. Right. Excuse me, go. Right. So we've got our dressing there, and often, I don't know about you, but often with dressings, that tiny little bit of sweetness.
Yeah.
And honey's great for it, because it just kind of dissolves straight into it. Just works beautifully. Just gets your dress. You know when you get a dressing and it's like just vinegar and it hits the back of your throat? The honey takes that away and just kind of gets it tangy instead of harsh. Okay, we're up for time.
Yeah.
We're alright. I lose concept of time when I'm up here.
Yeah, you're really good.
It's like when I'm at work, my wife will be like, "Oh, what time are you home?" "Oh, I'll be about 5:30. Roll in at 7:30. Is it not 5:30? Oh, oops. Okay, so capers. Love capers. Straight in there. If you don't like them, don't put them in, but I really like them. Okay, so we've got, let's get some good stuff in here. How are we doing? Right. Do you want to pop that whole thing straight in the oven for me, John?
Absolutely, yeah.
That whole thing, yeah? Okay, so we've got some shallots, and we're going to just chop those really nice and finely. Because it's all about getting a really nice chop. Good practice for your knife skills. So really, and if you can't get shallots, get red onions, okay? But don't use the white, because they'll just be too strong. That's pretty much all you will taste. Okay, and I'm going to add a touch of vinegar onto these. I don't know about you, but I quite like that kind of pickled.
Yeah, I like the pickled, yeah.
And just a little bit of vinegar, and then just scrunch them. Alright, and it just kind of pickles them really. You can do it and leave them in a jar and just leave them for a week or two and they're ready. Or you can do it quite quickly like this. Okay? You have a little taste of one of those now. They'll be lovely. Look, let me feed you. There you go. A bit weird, I know, but there you go.
I'm not quite sure how our two wives would.
It's not the first time, John. Let's be honest, is it?
No.
Not the first time.
You
see that you get that lovely tang?
You promised you'd never say. Yeah, I mean it's great actually.
John actually poisoned me with an oyster once, didn't he? He didn't think I was going to bring that up. We went out to the Solway Firth and we found some oysters, didn't we? This gnarly old bloke. Does anyone know Cumbria particularly well? It's a really weird accent of a cross between Geordie and Lancaster, isn't it? Lancastrian kind of, it's weird. They're lovely people. I say that because John's wife's out there somewhere. But this gnarly old sea dog came out of the beach from nowhere, didn't he? We were filming.
Try these!
Oh yeah. And he just went, "I'll try these." And obviously me and John, being as bright as we are, we just let strange men feed us, don't we, anywhere we're going. So, and we had these oysters that I was so ill the next day.
Well, he blames the oysters, but I was fine. So
I know,
you know,
but I don't eat them very often, to be honest. But you do, don't you?
I do. I
love them.
Yeah, I love them. Absolutely.
So I'm going spring onions as well. So we've got two different types of onion. I mean, onion works really, really well with beef. So that's why we're going in with two. All the white, all the green. Alright? And then I've got some of these beautiful radishes. Okay? And normally I'd use the leaves, but they've got a bit warm under the light, so I think I'm going to leave them today. Okay, right, so again, as finely as you possibly can. And we want that kind of nice, kind of mustardy, hot radish flavour and crunch.
Who out there, who loves radishes? Yeah, absolutely. We used to grow them as, it was about the only thing we ever grew in the garden as kids. Radishes.
Is that in the wall?
Told you. He's terrible. Yeah, nearly, almost.
Almost.
Radishes and then cress on a windowsill.
Cress in an egg cup. I remember doing that. Yeah. A bit cotton wool. Yeah. Okay. So really finely shredded. Okay. Straight in. Okay. Mustard cress. We don't use enough mustard cress. We're all into these flashy, cool kind of coriander cresses and everything, aren't we?
Well, I think as chefs we've gone into who goes out for meals a lot, and you see all those micro herbs sprinkled over everything, don't you? You know, and it's like, you know, but I think we've kind of forgotten, or the cress has become a little bit forgotten, hasn't it? But it's
I mean it's nice. It's got really intense flavour, and I think the right thing on it, but not on it the same cress that they've got on everything.
Yeah.
So I'm in with some fresh flat leaf parsley, mustard cress. I've got tomatoes. I've got some lovely golden ones. How's me ciabatta?
Looking good, chef.
All right.
Smells fantastic, actually.
Good. Okay. So I've got just a normal salad tomatoes there. That's looking good. Will you check my steak for me as well?
Absolutely.
Get you working, right?
There's the thing.
Teach you to answer my text messages, isn't it, John?
It was gin again.
Yeah.
It was that gin.
I sent him a text message this morning saying, oh, one of the guys has dropped out, I can't get here. Any chance you do a demo, it's worth a bottle of gin. I've never seen a text message being answered so quickly in my life. Especially here, because we all know what the phone signal's like.
Straight back.
Funny how that one got through, isn't it, John?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I must have been standing in the right place at the right time, Peter.
Yeah. John and I are actually going out to Morocco, aren't we, next month?
Absolutely, yeah. I'm looking forward to it.
We're going filming. We've got a new show that we're doing that is actually on Simply Good Food TV. So it's Simply Good Food TV is like a Netflix for food programming. And it's run by chefs, so we get to make the kind of programs we want to make instead of the programs that we get told to make. Sorry, no, you're right.
I was going to get rid of you.
Right. I've got more than that, mate.
I know, it's a good word.
So we're going and we're doing a show called 48 Hours In, and we're doing 48 hours in Morocco, and all the European destinations we're going to be doing 48 hours in. I thought it was my dad then. Oh yeah, son. And then we're going to be doing, so 48 hours in different destinations around Europe, 24 hours in the UK and 72 hours long haul. And it's literally over the shoulder, chefs on a voyage of discovery, just finding great food and cooking. I'm really looking forward to it, it's going to be a lot of fun. Okay, right, so we've got our salad. And I'm not going to mix this until I'm ready to plate it up, because if you do, what happens is it all starts to wilt, and all that freshness that you put in there will just go to waste. So the dressing is sat at the bottom, quite happy, doing its thing. And the minute you start to move it all around, that's when things start to wilt and look a bit sad. So while we're doing that, is that alright? Does it need a rest for a minute? Or?
I think, yeah.
Alright, cool. So we'll just let that rest. Oh, that's so awesome. So we're going to put a piece of butter on. Since James Martin's not here, there's butter in the fridge. When he's here, there's never any butter. Right, we'll let that just melt on there, and you'll get that nice shot, won't you? How hungry are you now, smelling that? Hey? Right. Okay, so what we're going to do, will you toast those in the oven for me? Just some bread. So what I thought we would do is another dish while that's just resting, because it's so important that steaks rest. Really, really is. You imagine if I put you in a really hot frying pan, you'd just clench up like that, and it'd be like, oh crikey, that's hot in there. And that's what happens to a steak it just tightens when it goes into a hot pan. So when you take it out of the oven or out of the pan, it just goes, and it's that kind of 5 minutes, just like, it's better. It's a bit like when you've just had a bath. It's like, all calm, all relaxed. That's what goes on in my head.
I was going to say, I think you've kind of telling them slightly a little bit too much, but...
Have you cleared all the stuff?
Well, you have to.
A bit of garlic.
Bit of garlic.
Garlic, yeah. I had some.
Did you?
Yeah, you've cleared it away.
Sorry, I'll get you.
Okay, so hot pan again. Nice and hot. So we're going to cook these beautiful mushrooms. Now, was it Fred the forager this morning? Is it Fred?
I think it was
I
Fred.
think it was, wasn't it? Fred the forager left them for. Was it Fred? Yeah. It was, wasn't it? It'd have to be, wouldn't it? Because I knew it sounded the same. Okay, so with mushrooms, I always put a little bit of salt in the pan first. I don't know about you, because there's so much water in mushrooms, and these mushrooms are flipping delicious. They're amazing. And all I wanted to do was just get some salt on them and get them drawing out the moisture, okay? And it's really important that you get that kind of layer of salt, and then it all starts to just do its magic. So a little bit of salt on the top, a little bit on the bottom.
I think the thing with mushrooms is, I mean, you've just said, the thing is to get the pan as hot as possible, isn't it?
Hot as possible and start to draw out the moisture. Because if you kind of look at mushrooms, if I take these mushrooms and look, and if I squeeze them, all that water's in there, yeah? And that's what we're working against that. Doesn't matter what mushrooms you use, they're full of water. So a little bit of oil in there now. We've started to get everything coming out. So that would pay extra for that special effect. Okay, so I've got some rosemary and some thyme again. You can put sage in there as well. Let's get that straight in there. Best friend with mushrooms, these kind of herbs. Sage, rosemary, thyme, and just get them in. And simple thing, like it's the simplest thing. You know, mushrooms on toast. Just amazing. Love it, if it's done right. If my mother does it, terrible. Don't tell her that. That's my auntie over there. My mum's sister. Everybody asks me, I bet your mum was an amazing cook. It's like, yeah, it was brilliant.
The sprouts are on already for Christmas, aren't they?
My agent will be like, yeah, Peter, you need a better story for journalists when they ask where you learned to cook. Because everyone likes to think, oh yeah, I bet your mum was amazing, you were inspired by it, and I was like, it was survival, wasn't it? I had to eat. Bernard Matthews turkey burgers can only get you so far. Right, let's have a little clear down, because I think this steak is looming. And once we get the steak out, we'll have lost them. They won't be listening to us. Okay, so you can see these mushrooms now with the butter, because we started to draw the moisture out. Oh, look at them, they're so beautiful, don't they? I wish I could pick these kind of mushrooms, but I'm too scared to do it.
Have you ever done it? I've never done it, I must admit.
I wish I could.
Is anybody out there? Anybody been foraging? Anybody out there ever been foraging for food before? No, you've all gone. Are we awake? Are we still there? Are you still with us?
Right, let's get. They're in steak zone. We've lost them.
I have to say that was pretty.
I'm actually going to take the fat off. Now, normally, if I would spend time rendering that and cooking it up on its end and getting all the fat nice and crispy. We haven't got that kind of time today, so I'm just going to cut it away. By the Labrador, you're going that way. I ain't got one yet. Okay, so we're just going to carve it now. Okay? So you can see, nice and juicy. Oh. Are we good?
Yeah, good.
Right, let's just, John, you need to try this first. So you need to tell them it's amazing. let me just mix this together for you. Get a little bit of that on there. So we get you a bit of radish. Get a little bit of that, a little bit of that. There you go.
Oh, now we're talking.
Right, look at that. Right, we start to mix now and only now. This is when we mix. This is when John goes all quiet. Okay. So we'll just carve that. How's my mushrooms?
I have to say, Mr. Sidwell,
yeah?
that is pretty good.
You like that, do you?
That is awesome.
Good. Good.
You're in for a treat, guys.
Right, got a little bit of a bone there. Will you just check that toast for me? We're just going to slice that. And the reason why I'm slicing it thinly is because what I'm going to do is season it up on the board. before we then put it onto the bread. We're good.
Yep.
Grand. You put a little bit of rapeseed oil on there, just to moisten it up a little bit. So, slice all that up, and then we start to spread it out, okay? And I think this is, like, personally, I don't eat loads and loads of meat in our house, but if I'm going to eat meat, I buy good meat, and I think that's a good way to kind of work, isn't it? You know, we don't eat meat all the time, but when we do, it's the best we can get, if we can get it. So, really nice salad, bags of flavour, loads of different textures and flavours that all kind of work together, which is what we're trying to look at doing.
Now you cooked that steak in the pan, but we could have done this on the barbecue, couldn't we?
Yeah, at the cookery school we have the big green. Have you seen the big green egg barbecues over there? There they are. They are awesome. If you have boys, those are the barbecues to have. If you haven't got one of those, you haven't really got a barbecue. They are. I can't say it because there's children in it. The bee's knees. There we go. That's better, isn't it? Much better. Okay, so will you just run that through for me?
Sure.
Okay, so let's just build this up. So I like to put the steak on first because I like all the juices to kind of run through. The bread is there to mop up all the flavour. There we go. And then we get that as well. That's all the good bits, isn't it? Okay. You all got your starting blocks?
They look like they're all chomping at a bit, don't they? Yeah.
Right, beautiful. So, let's move this, let's just lift this on, okay? This is what we want, all that lovely flavour, lovely texture, and we'll chop all this up so you can have a good old, have a go at it. Okay, there we go. And then we've got our toast here. So really simple, those mushrooms smell beautiful.
They do, absolutely.
They are going to be really, really good, really good. Okay, so, give them a little toss round. You don't need a spoon for this, okay? And we're just going straight on. Something just really lovely about something simple. John's battery's dropped out the back.
He's changing the battery, alright? He's changing the battery.
He's no Duracell bunny, is he?
If my missus is out there anyway.
Yeah. He's on fresh batteries, love.
Yeah.
Watch out.
Yeah. Gin and fresh batteries.
Gin and batteries. That's not a good combination. Look, there we go. So we've got two really simple, summery, beautiful, fresh dishes. I'm going to chop them up so you can have a little taste. Thank you very much for coming to watch. If you enjoyed this and want to have a go at it, Rob there has been live streaming the whole thing to Facebook. There you go. So you can go back and watch it if you want. And all today's demos, all yesterday's and all of tomorrow's are going to be on there, so just go and find them there if you want. And if you can't see or keep up with the recipe, just send a message to the person who's made it. I'm sure they will put the recipe out for you.
So ladies and gentlemen, could you put your hands together for Mr. Peter Sidwell? Thank you.
Thank you.